Welcome to this presentation of 2025 GCE question, Maths Paper 1. This is question 14a, and the question reads, in the diagram, AB is equals to 8 centimeters, AD is equals to 10 centimeters, okay, and DC is equals to 12 centimeters, and the angle ABC is equal to 90 degrees. So ABC, which is right here, this is equal to 90 degrees. And then we are taught to find the value of tan ACD. So first of all, where is ACD? So the angle that we are looking for is this one. Okay, allow me to call this angle as the angle X. Now, the first thing that we'll do is to understand that if I am to find tan ACD according to SOHCAHTOA principle, okay, we'll have SOHCAHTOA, okay, so we are dealing with the tan, in which we are supposed to use the opposite and the adjacent. Okay, so here we'll simply say tan X is equal to the opposite, which is the O, divided by the adjacent, which is the A right there. Now, what is also important is to now come to the diagram and look at the opposite as well as the adjacent. So the first thing that we'll look at is the opposite of the angle that I'm looking for, which is right there, 8 centimeters. So this is what is going to be the opposite. Okay, opposite is always on the opposite side of the angle, is always on the opposite of the angle that you have been asked to calculate. So in this case, we are looking for this angle. So the opposite of this angle, that's where the opposite is, which is 8 centimeters. Now, what about the adjacent? The other thing that we can also identify from here is the hypotenuse. So the hypotenuse is can be 10 if we are to consider the smaller triangle, or it can be right there, which is the AC, if we consider the bigger triangle. However, we need to understand that for SOHCAHTOA, for a tan, we don't consider the hypotenuse, so we only need the opposite and the adjacent. So that means if we say this right here is the hypotenuse, that makes BC to be the adjacent. So all the way from here up to right there, this is the adjacent. Okay, this is the adjacent. Now, once I know what the adjacent is, what next? It's just about getting the values, then we can replace them. So I'll now say tan, what's the opposite? So the opposite, I have my 8 centimeters there, divided by what's the adjacent. So for the adjacent here, B to C, I don't have any length, so that means I have to calculate this length. Now, the only length that I have is from D to C. What about from B to D? So when you look at BD, there's a provision that if I was to use this and the hypotenuse and the opposite right here, I might be able to get to this, because this is a right angle triangle. So we are going to bring in this knowledge right here. Allow me to just sketch roughly the diagram. Okay, so the rough sketch is right here. So this is our 10 centimeters. Here we have our 8 centimeters, and then I can easily find this one. So that once I have the length for BD, I can now add it with the 12 centimeters, and then I'll be able to have the full length from B to C, which is going to act as our adjacent. So let's go ahead and calculate this length right here on this diagram. So the hypotenuse here is 10, I'll call it C, this I'll call it A, and this I'll call it B. Then the formula for Pythagoras theorem says A squared is equals to C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. What's the C? That is 10 squared. A, that's what you're looking for. And then for B, we have the 8. Okay, we have the 8 squared. This is obviously 100. Then you have A squared plus this is 64. Okay, and then arranging the like terms, this is going to be 100 minus 64, which will give us A squared. Okay, 100 minus 64, this is 36 A squared. Okay, so the square root here and the square root there, so A gets to be 60 centimeters. That's A. So now it means right here where the length has not been given, we can now conclude that we have 8 centimeters. Now that tells us that the total length now for BC, or simply the adjacent, is now 6 plus 20, 6 plus 12, which is equal to 18. So for the adjacent, I'll write that, which is 18 centimeters. Now I can cancel out the centimeters, and that will give me tan x being equal to 8 over 18. But then I can reduce this 8 over 18 by allowing K2 to go into this and that. So 2 into that, that's 4. Obviously 2 into 18, that is 9. And so I can now say therefore tan, okay, ACB rather, is equal to 4 over 9. Okay, and this is the final answer to this particular problem.